Holy shit. No. I'm on this. I had a question, Lori. There are people in the waiting room there? Well, are you on?
I am.
Oh,
And
okay.
go ahead.
Well, so when I hit my, I logged in via the Word document, and the link there. And
Yes,
it brought me in as almost as if I were hosting the meeting.
it did. You must have logged in differently.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything differently, but I think it's remembering me from the previous login when you weren't hosting. But
So
you're hosting now, and as you pulled everything up and everything is going.
well, no, it's asking me questions.
Okay.
Reclaiming host may disrupt. So I can either stay a co-host or reclaim host.
Oh, so you're a co-host. So as a co-host, do you still have the ability to set recording, stop recording, all that stuff?
I am not sure. I should. We're recording right now. Let me see.
Okay.
But it's Conservation Board is currently host. Did
And
you
is
log
that-
in as Conservation Board?
We're both logged in as Conservation Board. Interesting.
So I
So
don't
if
want to
you're-
bounce you off. Do you want me to try to reclaim host?
Yeah, let's try reclaiming host. And the
Okay.
other thing is, let's see how that works.
And just admit everyone.
I'm always tempted to hide the people who don't have video.
We did, or it looks like
No,
they're
I'm
still
tempted to. I always go back and forth. Should I
I
want to
see.
see them
Yeah.
or not? They just take up all this space. And
Well, but sometimes they want to be away from the, away from the
Yeah.
computer or things of
Okay.
that sort. So do we have everybody, Lori, or are they still coming in?
They are still, let me hit it again, a couple more
Okay.
joining.
21, wow.
I didn't think we had that much in front of us, but we'll see. Mm. Okay. Any others?
I think everyone's here that was waiting.
So what do we got? 1, 2, 5, 20, yep, 21 total. Okay, great. Then we'll get started. Welcome everyone to the August 9th, 2023 Dover Conservation Commission hearing. And we will be presenting this hearing via Zoom. And Lori, if you could read our guidance on open meeting, please.
Sure. Following guidance issued by the governor regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely. Individuals wishing to participate may do so using Zoom video conferencing technology to join the meeting by video. Using a computer or tablet, you may click the link to join by telephone only. Call the number listed on the agenda and type in the ID and passcode, and the meeting is being recorded.
Okay, and let me just pull something up on my other machine here, excuse me. Okay, so first up on, actually, Janet, was there anything we just talked about in, that we want to address before we went into the agenda? Was there anything else? Was there any update? Sometimes we do that for as a courtesy.
I don't think so. The new
Okay.
is 29 Saddle Ridge Road. That's a violation enforcement, but we have that a little bit later in the agenda after the
I
25
see. Got
COC.
it. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll start the evening off with a request for determination of applicability, also referred to as an RDA from the Dover Land Conservation Trust. And why don't we, I think this has been in front of us before, not as an RDA, but just as a discussion. Do you want to, Stephen here?
Yes.
Yeah, Stephen, do you want, if you just give us a quick outline, please? I don't know if Stephen stepped away, but Janet, why don't you fill us in on where things stand on that, please?
Sure. So the Blake property is under care and control of the DLCT.
Mr. Chairman,
Who's speaking?
Jim Craver.
And you are associated with DLCT, or?
No, I have a point of order question.
Which is?
Very simply, on behalf of the Miller Hill Road Association, we would like to know why, since the latest agenda for this meeting is for today, then the last meeting was held on May 10. Why does your website not have any minutes? There are at least 5 meetings for which no minutes have been posted. End of my question.
I'm not sure in terms of rules of order if that jumps to the top of the list, but let's take a Lori, do you know where we stand relative to was it somewhere around May 10th is where we're caught up through in terms of
May
meetings?
10th is where we're caught up through. Yes.
Okay, so we've had a very lengthy work list over the last actually several years, and this is the most caught up we've been on minutes for quite some time, and generally so we're working feverishly to update those, and that's why the hearings have been informational, and each one has been evolutionary in terms of getting additional data in, but there's not it's all proceeding apace. There has been no unexpected information that has come up over that time frame. We've just been getting expert opinions staking out where the wetlands are and things of that nature. So it's been more of an updated nature as opposed to a determinative well, we have an enforcement order, but we don't have an order of conditions yet. So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer than that, but that's just the way we're a volunteer board with limited administrative hours, and we're trying to catch up on those minutes, and we should be moving several meetings ahead within by next week sometime, I would imagine.
Thank you for what is definitely a less than good response. Signing out.
Okay, have a good evening. So let's move back is
Blatherer.
well, so night, Jim. No. So why don't
Can you hear me? This is Stephen Bates. Can I?
Okay, yeah, we do hear you, Steve. Do you have video tonight?
I don't know why it's not working. I've been fumbling with it.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. If I can figure out how to get it going, I will.
Okay. And so I assume you've checked the the video icon on the lower left of your screen.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And it says stop video as if it's working. And the little thing is slid across my screen. Everything should be working. It just isn't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I find if I hit that arrow, it gives me some options and sometimes resets it. But in any case, I think you and Janet have been working together on this, and I had asked. Well, not Ron. Why don't you give us a quick update, please?
So the Blake Reservation property owned by the Dover Land Conservation Trust is most visibly located at the corner of Dedham Street and Strawberry Hill Street. There's a sign there that identifies the property as a land trust property. We acquired it now maybe almost 4 years ago. There's a conservation restriction on the rear portion of the acreage held by the trustees of reservations. And the front part will soon have a conservation restriction on it that will be held by the town. Way in the back of the property on the south side, there's what we call the hidden field. It's a gorgeous little gem of a long ago farmed section of the woodlands there. There's an old road that leads to it. And that road has been eroded because of intermittent flow reaching a collapsed culvert. So a culvert that had no pipe, so it must be quite old. It was constructed with stone, and there's a collapse on the interior of it. I've tried cleaning it out and clearing it out, but the water flow is restricted. And so at times of peak flow, like we've been having this year, kind of flash flood events, the water exceeds the capacity of the collapsed culvert and flows around and over the road and has been washing the road into the adjacent wetlands. And it was my goal to get that repaired. And because the scope of the work that's necessary would involve me hiring outside help, it felt appropriate to come to you all. So last November, I contacted Lori. That led to a meeting in December. And then there's been ongoing discussion. There was a unfortunately rainy day visit in early May when Amy and Janet came out with me and we looked at the site, talked about what I was hoping to accomplish. And that was led to the recommendation of filing the RDA, which I did earlier this summer.
Okay, thank you. So Jen, if you can fill us in on your regulatory review.
Sure. So this is a pretty straightforward culvert replacement project. Very old culvert with really no substantial structure. So the proposed culvert pipe is going to be a vast improvement to this area. There was, Stephen sent a memo out on Monday based on his observation of the actual diameter that he's proposing for the culvert pipe. He had proposed a 24-inch. When we had our heavy rains on Monday, he said he looked at actually an active culvert functioning with a 24-inch diameter pipe. He felt that that was too large, so he's adjusted the proposal to a 15-inch diameter, and that actually will result in reducing the amount of soil disturbance during installation. And I would agree, probably a 24-inch is probably maybe overkill for the size of the stream that goes through that area. So I think it's very straightforward. I want to thank Stephen for a very detailed and complete RDA. It made my job much easier to review it. So I do not see any significant or long-term impact to the wetland. This is definitely an improvement to the ability of the wetland and the stream to function, and I'd recommend approval. I did have 3 special conditions. The first was just acknowledging that we're not approving a wetland delineation as part of the RDA approval. The second is giving some flexibility for the type of siltation barrier to be used. The work obviously is in the stream, so the silt control is really from both sides of the culvert road crossing. And I would leave that up to Stephen and his professional. I think this is a couple days project. So either a silt fence or straw sock would be sufficient. And then the third condition is just restoration of the areas in a manner that stabilizes the area.
Okay. Is that clear, Stephen?
It is, yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Anna,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Entertain a motion to issue a negative RDA.
I'll move to issue a negative RDA approving the project with the conditions outlined by our agent.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Anna,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, thanks much, Stephen. Good luck.
I'm very grateful for all that you guys do in town for everybody. So thank you
And-
very much.
And vice
thank
versa.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you, Stephen.
Okay, next is on 144-849, 25 Wilsondale Street. We have a request to extend the existing order of conditions. I actually, I didn't see that on your review there, Janet. Or is it elsewhere in the review?
No, so it's really, I would say this is sort of just a formality. I would recommend approval of it, so that the invasive management work continue. This is quite an involved project by the homeowners to try to improve the wetland values on their property, including wildlife habitat, by limiting invasives and doing new plantings. So I do see Kay on the meeting. She may want to give us an update on how the work is going.
Sure. Kay, would you like to do that?
Be happy to. So sometimes I feel like Sisyphus, but we are making progress. We have several spots that have been or are really bad, and we've tried to prioritize with the most by addressing the nastiest invasives first, and we're kind of working gradually through the property to try to get things under control. If you'd like, I could show you some slides, some photographs, but you have a long agenda. But I'm happy to send them to someone if you'd like to see them. But in particular, we've been working in an area of wetland buffer zone where there's black swallowwort. That's a particular problem, but making some progress. But it's a multi-year project really to get that. And then and that's there's progress there. And then there's an area adjacent to a wet area on our property that's within the buffer zone where we have pretty successfully eradicated most of the invasives. Our reward is that poison ivy has taken over the area, but we've also planted some very aggressive native plants that are doing battle with it, and that I think are going to succeed. And then we have some areas where we just have to keep going. We also have areas that aren't wetlands or buffer zones where we've been working on some Japanese knotweed, and again, making progress.
Okay, so thank you for the update. And I think we can get pictures at the end of things, although if you want to send some into Lori, that would be lovely. It is a daunting prospect there. So I don't think a request to extend needs a closed hearing.
No, it's just a motion.
Yeah, so entertain a
Yes.
motion to extend.
And it's a 2-year extension?
Is
As
it
long as you can give us.
Is it 2 or 3? I thought
Yeah, I don't remember. That's why I'm asking.
Janet,
Yeah, you can extend up to 3 years.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Let's go.
we would like
Move-
3
move-
years.
Move to extend the order of conditions for 12, I'm sorry, where are we?
25 Wilson Dale.
25 Wilson Dale for 3 years.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Anna,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy, Sarah,
Aye.
Jim.
Right.
Did I miss anybody? Me. Aye. Okay. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Okay. Night. Next is a continuation of the discussion regarding the enforcement order for 1214 Miller Hill Road and 3638 Farm Street. Janet, why don't you, well, actually, is there any information from Attorney Brooks concerning that?
Here I am.
Any updates on your end?
We received Paul's report.
Mhm.
Metro West has looked at it. They were scheduling a time to go out and look at what Paul flagged. I don't know if Brian is on or not to update us on that, but I have not heard back since my last communication with him that they were going out there to look at what Paul had flagged.
Mhm.
And I expect they will work that out shortly.
Okay, thank you. So just for everyone to know, the Ecotech, the town's expert on this, went out to review the flagging for the wetlands there. The flagging that LAC had done on 3638 Miller Hill seemed to be in accord with what he observed there. And then he had concerns about some of the flagging on 12 and 14 and noted in a letter that I'm not sure is in a letter that we just got recently that he would move and he put in flags to relocate some of the flags a little closer to the house towards the houses than what Metro West had outlined. And Metro West will then need to communicate and locate those on a plan and then resend the plan out. Janet, any additional information on that?
No, I don't think so. So there were 10 flags that Paul revised in the field. 3 of those were on 12 Miller Hill. The remaining were on 14 Miller Hill, and actually there were 2 on that spilled over onto 22 Miller Hill. In a number of places, he moved the flags upland 20 feet, which is fairly significant, which means pretty much at least on 14 and to a large degree on 12, all clearing will have been done in the buffer zone. Then the next step would be to have Metro West revise their site plan. And then I think at the next meeting, I would recommend if we get that plan in time and if the tree inventory removal can also, if we can identify the number of trees in both, in the buffer zone on both properties, that would be helpful. And then I think it would be helpful to have a discussion about the criteria and information we would like to see in a restoration plan before the 12 Miller Hill consultants dig into a restoration plan. I think having a discussion about what the expectations are, what are the regulatory requirements would be helpful before they start working on that.
Okay. And is there anyone from 36 Miller Hill or trustees of the reservation who has any questions or anything to add to that? Marcella.
I just want to add that, hope that that plan will be, sounds like Metro West is scheduled to get out there, or maybe already has, but, just to reiterate what you guys said but I'm hoping they can get that plan updated, resubmitted to you guys in the time frame prior to the next meeting, so
Mhm.
that you all have time to review and we can discuss.
And from the feedback we've gotten already, they're trying to do that.
Okay,
Um,
great.
So,
John, would it be possible to get the data sheets in a editable format or something we could manipulate? I appreciate the data we're getting, but I don't know that I'd like to be able to calculate, DBH inches that were taken down for myself.
the last plan they had, but didn't extend, this additional 20 feet or whatever the variation there that Paul had on average. They did have at the bottom of the plan, they produced that. And I don't know if you recall, they showed the DBAs and the species and so forth.
Yeah, I
and
don't
then
think they totaled it or.
they did.
anything like-
I had a little difficulty seeing it, but they brought it down on the bottom right column. They showed the total number involved there.
It
But
still would be nice to get it in an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think, I'd like to come up with a word other than manipulate, but
Yeah, no, I'd
the-
just like to
yeah,
be able to do a
and- yeah, but-
calculation on it. And I
Yeah.
mean, I know they color coded it nicely and said, was in the BVW, this was in this. I don't need color coding. I'd like to see,
you want to see the numbers. You want to
Yeah.
see, tree number,
Yeah.
species, DBH, or the rest of it of DBH.
Exactly.
And mhm.
and then
I think they probably have that in that format. So Peter, is that something you could ask them for? For us to have it in a reviewable format?
Yeah, sure. If somebody would just send me a written request for specifically what they're looking for,
Mhm.
I don't see that as a problem. But
Okay.
apparently, I thought Brian was going to be here, but he's not. Or he could address that right now, but get me
I-
what. you're
I can
looking
address that for you, Peter.
for. Sure, Dan.
Dan Cathcart, I put that report together.
Oh, okay.
I would be happy to forward over the spreadsheets in the Excel format that I use before I convert it to a PDF.
Mhm.
that'd be
if
perfect,
that-
thank you.
That's what you're looking for, right? Just
Yeah,
be
yeah,
able
it
to
just-
run totals and so on.
Yeah,
and so forth.
exactly.
As long as that's all right with Attorney Brooks, that's good by me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Sam?
Just a quick question to that point. The preliminary restoration plan submitted by Dan was pretty significantly off basis.
Mhm.
So is his spreadsheet accurate? We've engaged Cheney Engineering, who we had asked several times for the CAD from Metro West to overlay and verify. And since then, we've had to use the PDF, but we did verify that the counts were pretty accurate.
Mhm.
But do we know that Dan's is accurate to Metro West since he was so premature to issue his report before even having any of Metro West findings?
Well, I think based on your response to the report at our last hearing, that it's clear that there's going to be this, that's the difference between those reports. And number one, Dan's report is going to need to be updated just for the quantities that are involved, but also the methodology seem to be in dispute. And I think that's clearly something that we'll be addressing in future meetings. And I believe based on your response that Dan and Peter and I can't remember the other person who's not on, will be responding in some manner. Is that a correct assumption, Peter, or if we're going to go with the
Yeah, I
report?
just
Dan?
want to remind everyone that we had an enforcement order that required action by, I think, July 5.
Mhm.
And so Dan was rushing to
Mhm.
get something done by that date because of the very limited amount of time that we were given to do that. His report says it was preliminary. It says that it was pending the wetlands delineation, and he fully expects that it will be updated But I think to make accusations about his report, it needs to be taken in light of those circumstances that he was working under and that we were working under to try to meet a very, very difficult deadline.
Okay, I think that's a fair response, and it's from our side, we've been seeing communication as we try to approach the appropriate numbers and all this. Sam?
So I'd just like to reiterate again that anything that gets submitted, is to the accurate plan, provided by Metro West. And to that point about the submittal to meet the deadline, it was actually our side that forwarded it to conservation. It was never formally submitted to conservation from Dan or Peter, I don't believe. It was our side. So
well, we're ironing that out in terms of getting each group to send things through us. I think the big thing that we're looking at this point is the next step is to get the plan updated, and at which point all parties will have that plan. They can review that relative to their perceived accuracy, and we'll move. We'll take it step by step. The main thing is that we're moving forward on this, and also keep in mind that we have our own expert will be reviewing this as well. So this last go around, our expert went out and disagreed with the BVW boundaries. Then our expert will go ahead and review the accuracy of the next submitted plan. So we do have another reviewer involved in this. So we're trying to make things as accurate as possible. Any other questions concerning this?
Will Dan's report and Excel spreadsheet, will that be updated by the next meeting as well to reflect the Paul's adjusted line?
I would hope so. Part of that's going to be based on Metro West, moving the line so that Dan can see where the trees actually are.
Okay.
And it sounds like Peter Brooks will be, asking, pushing on them to try to get that plan in, so that we have a chance to do that. We're doing everything in essence in 2-week chunks here, but we're outlining things as we go along, and so that we approach more and more accurate level.
Perfect.
And then I think to Janet's point, do we excuse me, do we want to have an initial discussion around expectations? I know we had an initial proposal for economic value of lumber board feet that was economically viable as replacements. And I know we've moved past that. Do we want to talk about expectations?
Well, we do, but I think that's what Janet was saying. We would do that at the next meeting. She'll have a chance to outline some guidelines for us to review prior to that. Right at the moment, we're reviewing both also with DEP, because our bylaws don't give us much, other than, well, now that we see that we have more stuff within the buffer than originally anticipated, some of those expectations will be, like you said, once you have a chance to review the Excel component there.
Right. I'm just thinking about typical values that we put on a restoration replication plan. Do we want to?
Also, Jim, if I might say something real quick on that, we were looking, this is a 2-phase project. We have part of what I was addressing was the conservation restriction cutting,
Sure.
and part of it was the wetland. And as Mr. Soderheim mentioned, and we all know that my initial report that I submitted didn't really, in essence, didn't take into account a lot of the wetland.
Oh,
piece of
no,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not,
So-
I'm not, I think it was actually an interesting approach, to be honest, Dan. I think it was very interesting. I think typically in a restoration plan, we talk about 1.5 to 1, right?
Mhm.
And I just, and I think that's part of, I just like to understand what our approach is going to be on this. I know there's a couple different components. There's TTOR, there's neighboring property, there's conservation, and there's BVW and wetlands. So there's multiple layers there that I get, and I'm just, is it premature to talk about what the expectation would be?
Jim, my sense is, I think Janet will come up with a memo for us to review to
Okay.
point out what those are. I anticipate, and you outlined them absolutely spot on there. And as we have what we're dealing with within the buffer, as well as what we're dealing with in conjunction with TTOR relative to the conservation restriction, and then the landowner at Farm Street is dealing with financial issues that
Right.
we don't deal with. But I anticipate us with even with the 1.5 to 1 ratio, we'll run into a situation where we've run into very rarely, but which is if we have a bunch of mature trees here that are 20 plus inches,
Right.
and yet all we can plant is 1.5 to 2.5 inch trees, we cannot inundate the place with
No, exactly. Yeah, and
the
that's,
number of big, and that's,
know,
and I think I think that will be helpful for a memo from Janet to outline that as being one of the issues, because we may indeed, it's a head scratcher that we have some parts of our bylaw that will allow us to look at potential either financial ramifications or replanting on other property
sure.
ramifications.
No, exactly. And I
And
know, I think that's right.
but
No, I think
I
that's-
think that's where you're going. So I think I don't think we're prepared to go into that level of discussion tonight, because we need to get a more accurate representation of what's in the buffer.
No, I think that makes sense.
So and does that thought process that was just outlined both by Jim and myself, Peter or Dan, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely
to
makes
me.
sense to me.
Okay, great. And Sam, does it make sense to you?
Yeah, I'd like to just follow up that, TTOR and my client have both retained some pretty well-respected people. So
Mhm.
we'd like, hopefully as this process starts, to be able to engage their expertise, to
Mhm.
keep this process moving along quickly and efficiently,
Mhm.
obviously conservation, but as we touched on, this is kind of a trifecta of involved parties. So, we'd like to engage our experts as well, if that's possible, to at least be present and hear what's being presented. And then if we need to, we can create more of a more formal submittal rebuttal and send that over to the office.
Yep. No, we're looking forward to it. I think I think trifecta is an interesting word for it. And there's clearly some interesting philosophy involved on and especially on the your rebuttal, which was cogent relative to the fact that was the author of the book that was used in the previous report. But one positive thing, if we can reach for something like that, is that based on Paul McManus from Ecotech's review, the site is stable. There's been enough vegetative regrowth so that there's no sign of erosion or anything of that sort, which is another concern for conservation when we have this sort of clear cutting in a buffer. So things have come back pretty tenaciously there. They may not be the right things, but they're preventing soil erosion from going into the wetlands. So that's an update from our end of things. Anna, did you have a question?
Yeah, quick question on that. Has anyone had a chance to have a look since the very intense rain on Monday? Because I appreciate the vegetative regrowth, but that was a lot. And I'm curious if you have anything.
We haven't, Paul is on vacation, but Paul mentioned that he had a difficult time walking through it. It was that dense. So I can, compared to everywhere else in town where we've seen mud on the streets, this seems like it's one of the least likely ones for that. But when Paul comes back, he can get out there again. But I don't. From what he told
That'd
me,
be great.
I would be surprised. Okay. Are there any other questions concerning this particular issue from anyone? Amy?
Sally has her hand up.
Oh, I just wanted to add that when I think about 3 weeks ago, we monitored the adjacent CR on Karen McCoy's and on that shared boundary with the Rollins property. And, we didn't have permission to go onto that property that day, but we did take a look and, I said the same, that the amount of rain we've had this summer versus the drought last year has kind of been a blessing, because a lot of stuff has volunteered because it's getting so much rain, and as you said, some of it is not stuff that we want there, but I did see a lot of volunteer natives as well. So that's,
Okay.
including a lot of Pennsylvania sedge, which was great to kind of
A lot of what?
Pennsylvania sedge
Oh, okay.
kind of help, so, but to Anna's point, that was a lot, it is a very steep slope on the, above the jurisdictional wetlands, and that should certainly be checked if it eroded with the rain we had on Monday, so.
Okay.
My
Thank you.
understanding is we're supposed to get a bunch more tomorrow night, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, from what I been seeing from emails coming across my desk, builders throughout town are putting erosion control socks across their temporary driveways. In my own driveway, I have mud that came from 250 yards up the street and
Wow.
from something under construction that has then gone down my driveway to several hundred feet. So it's been an interesting summer. Okay, well, with that, then we will go ahead and continue discussion for this. Hopefully we'll have something.
Janet has her hand up.
Okay, thank you. Can you unmute, please?
I just wanted to add that as we move forward in crafting the restoration and replication work, I think it might be helpful for the next meeting for the sort of the three parties involved here, the Concom, TTOR, and then Mr. Brooks and his client, to really think about what their objectives and goals are, and articulate those. I think to a large degree, we have overlapping goals, which is to create the healthiest ecosystem that protects the wetland here. But I think that the action steps that we may all expect to reach those goals may be a little different. And to the degree that we can all be on the same page, I think that's going to be really helpful. So it's just something, I will put something in writing, and we'll review that with the commission at the next meeting. I'll consult with Paul on that as well. The regulations are fairly straightforward, but there also is some discretion in terms of our expectations and what we can require. But I know TTOR also has probably some more from a forest management perspective than a wetlands protection, what their goals may be. So just something to think about as we move forward to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I'm just looking for hands as I survey the screen. Okay, then we will go ahead and continue this at our next hearing, and at that point we should have a revised BVW line, and we'll go over some of the things that Janet just outlined. So thank you very much, and good evening, folks. Let's see, next coming up, we have a continuing amendment request for an existing order of conditions at 4 Haven Terrace. I wasn't sure that was going to be on this tonight's agenda because we're awaiting a report from Paul. Lori, Janet, was this something you requested, or?
I think we put it on just in case we did have some new information. At least it was on the agenda, but as far as I know, we don't have anything new.
Okay, so just let the bring commission members up to speed. There was a site visit last week, and which Paul attended to as well as Artie and Debbie Anderson and the homeowner, and Janet, myself, and Amy. And so Paul's review was very helpful. We're looking forward to getting his report. He noted that some of the proposed work that involved filling in some of the BVW did not take place. So that that removes over 1,000 square feet, probably close to 1,200 square feet of potential restoration. And an area that was proposed to be created as restoration wetlands for that turns out to already be a wetlands. We don't know if that changed or just wasn't picked up before. So there's a considerable amount of movement, and the scale of this will most likely be shrinking. And we're waiting Paul's review of this. And he's on vacation this week, so we should have it sometime next week, and then we'll be able to address it the following week at the next meeting. Okay, then moving on, looking for a request for a certificate of compliance for 7 Claybrook Road. Janet, why don't you fill us in on that?
We were, the last compliance issue was installation of signage. Our 2 different types of signs, the no dumping sign and then the no pesticides sign. Those have both been installed, so I recommend that we approve the certificate of compliance request, noting that there are 4 permanent special conditions that apply in perpetuity, and those should be listed on the COC form.
Okay, great, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, entertain a motion to grant the COC.
Move to grant a certificate of compliance for the project at 7 Claybrook Road.
Second,
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Anna,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Sarah,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, next we're looking at a COC for a low numbered order of conditions for 20 Farm Street, so 144-356. Fill us in, Janet.
Sure. So this was issued, this is about a 25-year-old COC for 20 Farm Street. The property is, I believe it's under agreement. It's in the process of being sold. So they have come to us for a COC. I did meet Paul Lindholm, who's the representative for the owners. He's a professional engineer. I walked the property with him. And I believe Tim was on the commission when this was approved.
I'm sure I was.
There's some history here. There had been an enforcement order back in 1998 for some mowing and clearing of wetland. And there was an extensive file on this. It appears that that had been a pasture, a wet meadow, which had then been let go. The owners were seeking to have that area sort of reclaimed for use, but also making some improvements to a dirt road and putting in a culvert. The actual work under the order of conditions never happened. So the roadway, the culvert was never installed. And since that time, it's been filled. The area is pretty natural at this point. But I just thought if Paul wanted to add anything, or because the property is on the market and is a substantial amount of acreage and wetlands, I don't know if the commissioners have any questions that they wanted to ask Mr. Lindholm.
Okay. And Paul, Mr. Lindholm, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, I'm trying to catch up with the way that you people run your meetings. So I do have an image to show you, and you can see what it looks like or not. Janet gave a pretty good presentation. It's been let go. It is a wet meadow. And as she said, part of the project was a road that was going to be improved, but it was not. And so it's in a very natural state. They have been keeping up with the designations in the order of conditions. And that was that they did a end of year kind of cleaning up of the area, just to keep the trees from coming in there. So it's been effective. In fact, it's more natural than I think it was anticipated. So as Janet said, so it's up to you. I can show you a couple pictures or not. I don't want to take up your time if it's not the way you guys operate.
Well, I think given that we're basically at an agreement of granting the COC, unless I don't see it being necessary unless other commissioners have a aching curiosity. Some of us could see this from a distance from the land next door to it, which had an enforcement order from a couple of years ago, and so it was clear that it was a wet meadow, that there had been swales, probably 150-year-old swales that were in place, as you find on wet meadows, in farming communities.
Right.
And so I think we're, somewhat familiar with that. So, but thank you for the offer. Appreciate it.
Sure.
So I would entertain a motion to grant this certificate of compliance.
Sure,
Excuse me.
move to issue a
Hold on.
certificate.
Excuse me, Tim. Janet has her hand up.
Oh, sure.
I did want to point out, and this wasn't in my report, but there is one permanent condition, which is that no fertilizers containing non-organic nitrogen compound nor pesticide shall be used within the 100-foot buffer zone. So that should be included in the approval. And I also think that it would be in everyone's interest to make sure that the current owners, the sellers, and their representatives make clear to any new property owner that there is this permanent restriction and that there are substantial wetlands on the property. And so any potential changes, really, they need to at least come in and have a discussion with the commission.
So would, it seems with that concern that at the very least on the COC that's going to be recorded, that within the COC, we have that restriction noted?
Yes, that should be included on the form. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do so. And Jim, did you find GIS shows wetlands in the rear and one area in so the front middle there, but your site visit, do you think the wetlands are more extensive than what GIS shows? Okay. Okay, then let's so adding with that condition regarding fertilizers and the like that we normally use, I'll entertain a motion.
Excuse me, John, I'm sorry, but Paul Alpert is raising his hand in the, I can see his image, and he's one of the representatives for the estate. So if he wants, I'd like him to be able to speak if that's okay with you.
Sure. No, I didn't see his hand. So actually, I hadn't seen his face for a bit, and then now it's there. So so go ahead, Paul.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to let you know that my name is Paul Alpert, and I'm an attorney, and I represent the personal representative of the estate. I had a conversation this morning with the attorney for the buyer, and I confirmed that the buyer's attorney already had their title report and they had seen the order of conditions and had already read it. I pointed out the condition, the permanent condition that was listed there to make sure that they were aware of it. And we do have some plans that Mr. Lindholm had made for the decedent a few years ago, showing wetlands, and I have every intention of sharing those plans with the buyer's attorney prior to close.
Well, great. Well, thank you. That's doesn't happen that often, so it's appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion to grant the COC with the condition outlined by Janet.
So move to issue a certificate of compliance for 20 Farm Street.
Second,
Okay, all in favor, Anna,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Jim,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so done.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks much.
Thank you.
Let's see, as we're moving on down to a discussion regarding 29 Saddle Ridge Road. This, I don't know if folks had a chance to see this in Janet's regulation report, regulatory report. This was something that neighbors had been concerned about. Relatively new homeowner had was cutting down trees and vegetation around a pond, you know, and cleaning out the pond on their own accord. Janet, why don't you fill us in? And I don't know if it had commissioners, did people see the picture in the discussion? Okay, so Janet and I were both down there. So go ahead, Janet.
Yeah, so just in summary, John and I were both down there last Friday. We met with Mr. Pierre, the homeowner, who is on the meeting. There was some confusion as to whether or not this pond, which he believes was man-made and the indicators are there. He thought because it was man-made, it was not protected as a wetland. And apparently that's what he was told by the realtors involved in the sale. So there was extensive work, some tree clearing work actually in the pond. We asked that he ask his contractors to stop work and attend this meeting just to review the situation. And then we can determine the best course of action.
And from my end, I'm familiar with this. There are a number of ponds like this in Dover where people hollowed out an area. Normally they're stream fed. We saw no indication of a stream, but the landscapers there did note the presence of around 6 inches of clay at the base of this. So this pond is clearly man-made, would not hold water if if it didn't have the clay. At the same time, it is at a low spot for the neighborhood. You know, there's probably an elevation change of at least 20 feet over 100, 150 feet all the way around it, except for the house is actually not quite as raised in elevation. But so this is probably a natural drainage area. We just don't. And so the question going forward, and also the lawn had not been, the yard had not been that well maintained prior to the owner, the new owner. There were portions of lawn that went down to the top of bank there. We could not tell because of all this disturbance what sort of vegetation had been next to top of bank. It is surrounded by 80 to 100-foot pine trees. So it's, you know, the trees that are around there are predominantly upland trees right up to the bank, you know, very next to the bank there. So it's, and there's a question of, the homeowner had a concern because he has gone through a summer season with it, and it's stagnant water being held there by the clay. It's not being washed out via a stream with a inlet and an outlet, and creates quite a mosquito problem as well. So there's your outline there. Commissioners have any questions? And Janet, you've had a chance to give it some thought. It's a conundrum there, because not knowing exactly what was there before, it looks like what is there now has been there for 20 years. It was filled with organic matter on the bottom, probably over the multiple years of stuff just falling into the pond, or if there were weeds there or whatnot, just decaying on an annual basis. They had pulled a lot of that out on the side. We could see that. And then they stopped when they hit the clay there. Janet, any other thoughts on this?
So I did look a little bit more closely at our definition of isolated land subject to flooding, and just
Mhm.
based on my, eyeballing the site, I think it does meet the volume requirement that does meet the definition. Normally, in a situation like this, our enforcement process is issuing an enforcement order. First requiring, and I did outline this in my report, the different steps, but the first step is hiring a qualified professional wetland scientist to delineate the wetland resource areas, and then submit that with the new Mass DEP delineation forms, and also include an inventory of all species and diameter of vegetation that was removed. And that would be the first requirement. We would also indicate that based on that, there'll be further review, and we will require as needed a restoration plan for the area. But I think we take this like one step at a time. First, we ask for the delineation. If it does show it meets our criteria of a protected wetland, we'd look at the buffer zone, have them assess the buffer zone, how much vegetation was removed, and then we would review that information, and that would be the basis for a restoration plan.
Okay, and what for our ILSF, what's required? What you mentioned, a volume requirement, or what we normally run into BVW as opposed to ISLF. Can you bring us up to speed on that?
Sure. So isolated land subject to flooding is an area which at least once a year confines standing water to a volume of at least 1/6 acre foot and an average depth of at least 6 inches. So my assessment is this is larger than 1/6 of an acre. And I believe Mr. Pierre said the depth of the pond was up to 4 feet.
So if it, so 1/6 of an acre is roughly what, 6,000 square feet or so forth. And if if it doesn't meet it for 6,000 square feet of area, but it has 2 to 3 feet of depth, does that counteract that the square footage?
It's total volume, surface
Total
area.
volume times 1, okay. Okay. And we can get a confirmation of that with a wetlands expert, I'm sure. And let's see, and so we just saw this. I don't think a letter's gone out. Has one, Laura, yet? Okay. And Vadran is the homeowner. Is it Saint-Pierre, or what's the last name, Vadran?
Pierre.
Well, Pierre. So is this, do you understand everything Janet was just going over?
Yes. Again, thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for kind of coming over and trying to explain a bit more what is going on and what was happening. This is really new to me. This is kind of like really the first home I own. And I'm just trying to figure out what is happening. I have 2 toddlers, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. I have 3 dogs, Bernese Mountain Dogs. They're really big dogs, and they really are part of my family. Right now, I moved in. The basement had to be redone, so that's what we're also doing. And so there's not space for my dogs to be in, not space for the kids to play. And we were really trying to use outside. And the point of us trying to go in and clean up around the pond is, like you mentioned, it wasn't really well maintained. It was harboring a lot of mosquitoes. And given now that the work is stopped, it does represent a hazard to my family, because my 3-year-old has a really good knack for getting into trouble. He really knows how to just escape and go to the backyard, because that's where we play soccer, that's where we play ball, that's where we play hide and seek, that's where we get together. So that is really frightening to me, and it's really concerning to me. Because there's a lot of woods, there's a lot of debris, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want him to go back there. And my dogs, I have to keep them in the garage. I can't just let them go back there either. So right now, this is really representing a hazard to my family in general. So moving in town, when I got the deed and the packet from the lawyer and the map outline for the land, none of it said wetland anything. And that was one of the things that I was looking for, because I was looking for houses in Needham. And any time I went in, it's oh, wetland, you essentially don't have a backyard. And I have kids, I want a backyard. So to me, this is news. And I just really want to understand a bit more about how long this process is going to take in terms of getting somebody to evaluate around the area. And just because we have a pond in the backyard, does that also mean that, we can't do anything near the pond? So our backyard is essentially now less than I had envisioned it is. But that's really what I want to send, because I think Janet was saying that typically that means 200 feet. So it's almost like I bought a bad bill of goods. And
So-
this is really,
Well,
really
let me step in to put some of that at rest. Number one, there's this isolated land subject to flooding. It has 100-foot buffer, not the 200, because it's not a river going through it. So we're looking at 100-foot, and that's for us to review and to, and that also does not preclude you doing things within up to 50 feet of the wetland. So this is where I don't know if you've had a chance to find an engineer or wetlands specialist at this yet, but they will outline some of those distances for you. And the other thing, when we were out on site, I'd asked you if you'd had any photos that you could find of the backyard, because part of this would be to take a look at what the extent of what the backyard looked like before you had the landscaping crew come in and remove all those things, because there's a thing called grandfathering, which had been lawn, and we can prove that, then you may have greater flexibility on that. So those are the small steps that we need to get lined up so that we can come up with the correct decision there. One of the concerns, and I can understand, given what we saw, orange construction fencing and wood stakes from Home Depot are relatively inexpensive. If you want to make sure that your kids don't get access to the pond, that may be something to put in around there so that they, at least it gives them a line of defense, literally, not a pun, to keep them from getting into the pond if they get out of the house. So those are just some of the things. So have you had a chance to either find photos or find an engineer or a wetlands expert at this point yet?
No, I haven't contacted a wetland expert. I'm just kind of wanting to have a discussion first and understand what it is that I'm dealing with, what has to be handled. But I think next step, I'll get these professionals to that.
And I would, I'm actually looking at Google Earth Pro right now, just trying to look back historically to see in a winter basis if we can get a better sense, the better idea we can get of what things look like before the landscapers, because we have no sense. Everything, was so disrupted there. We don't know what it looked like ahead of time, beforehand. So do look through some photos, see what you can find there. If there were listing photos when you bought it, or things of that nature.
So John, if you look at Mass Mapper on even the 2021 one, you can see that the lawn did go all the way down to the clearing. The lawn went all the way down to the pond from behind the house, but the far side of the pond, no, but
So,
You, I'm happy to share screen, but
yeah, why don't you actually? Because I think, you know, when we were on site and we saw in the photo that Janet has, you know, it's a mess. We can't really tell. So I think that'd be very helpful.
can you see it?
Yep. So if you want to cursor out and show the distance from the edge of the pond there to the house.
From
Mhm.
here to the house?
Yeah. And that's what, 88 was it, or no more? Oh, no.
Yeah,
80,
90 feet.
Okay.
It's
So,
It's not that
so we're
much.
yeah, so we'll be looking at some restoration. And there are, obviously the pines are, you know, not a wetland indicator that we see on the backside of the pond and the like. And it does look like I can't tell if that's a tree or if there was a little island forming in the pond.
It might be a branch, it might be a branch.
Yeah.
Here, let me.
So,
get rid of
so
this.
Vardran, that gives you an idea if, you know, that what we can see from the air. And at that point, I'm not sure what the date is on that, but the pond may have been in the process of drying up at that point.
This was 2021.
Yeah. And
I
what
don't
was-
know
so
when
Is that,
in 2021.
yeah,
And then
did you
this is
just?
20, this is 2019.
Yeah, so it looks a little
Basically.
bit different, yeah.
Not that different, but yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it is shadow lines too.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get an idea of what was there, what you can put back, and then whether there's anything you can do on the backside, or if you have pictures that show us that there was lawn on the backside as well. And
This
we
is
don't
all
want to delay
clear
this, but
lawn,
yeah, but we do need to get a wetlands expert in there. If you can give Lori a call tomorrow, call the conservation office. And she can give you some of the local people that have been in front of the board before, and they can you know, you can outline the concern for a quick turnaround on this, and we'll move forward on that. Anna?
In the letter we send, can we make sure, or at sort of the next reasonable point, can we make sure to just clarify that it's okay to put up erosion control fencing, something to keep the 3-year-old from running into the pond? I do feel like this will take a little while, and I want to make sure that the homeowners have that it's okay.
Yeah, I think we can, with tonight's minutes, we can make that very clear tonight, that as I mentioned earlier with the construction fencing, that temporary fencing for safety reasons is absolutely okay. And then we'll incorporate that in the enforcement order. Part of Janet and I even discussed the idea of erosion control, but everything was so so affected that there was really no erosion control to be a place to put it, because everything was mud anyway. Even the bottom of the pond is mud, so anything going into it would be just putting what had been pulled out back into the pond. So, but the fencing will definitely be critical for safety. So, and you're only on his iPhone. Can you identify yourself?
Yes, I'm George, the contractor there
Oh, that's
from
right.
Imperial. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
How's it going? I had a quick question to kind of second Vadran, you know, because obviously the safety of his kids is top at hand. Would we be able to make the site any more safe before the next meeting, like removing some of the logs and brush that we had on site, just to kind of clean the area up and make sure that it doesn't create any potential hazards?
Yeah, you had alluded to that, and I don't think Janet's picture may have made that clear, just how much of an issue that would be. I don't, given what Amy pulled up and showed us, and I'm to your input, Janet, but I think it would be perfectly okay to take those logs and the stuff that's already been cut down, once you document it with photos, but I think that I think the safety concerns outweigh the concerns about the work, and especially given the fact that was lawn. Do you have any input on that, Janet?
I guess my only question is, if the stumps remain, that would be helpful to just assess like what vegetation was removed and where. Are the
Did you-
stumps- have the stumps been removed?
Yeah, the stumps we took out, there's just some pine logs left. There was pine trees.
Yeah, I would, why don't you give us, why don't you measure the diameter? Do you have an idea of how many trees you took down?
No, I don't, but probably less than a handful.
Yeah, I didn't see, I thought 4 to 5 it appeared, but it was tough to tell. Let's get a diameter on that so that we know. And that may have some bearing as we go forward, but we should have that information, regardless. But I think, yeah, there were piles of logs, branches, things that would be hazardous, and they were on the previous existing lawn. So unless anyone else has an objection to that, I don't see a problem with that.
John, I did want to point out that if there is an actual wetland there, it's a wetland. It doesn't matter how it got there.
Oh, no, we made that clear as well.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. There's a, my early in my career on the commission, there was the former Callahan property, and he had done a skating rink, which he then stopped using and turned into a wetland. And he claimed that, well, I created the wetland. And we said, yes, you did.
Yep.
And it's a
No,
wetland.
and that's although that happens to be abut a wetland, which is,
yes.
yeah. Whereas this is remarkable just from the fact that it is surrounded by pine trees. It's not
Right. No, this clearly, this is not a pond so much as a pool.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's what had been done historically. I have one behind my house that was done that way, but it's fed by a stream. This is not.
Right.
So
it's really more like a pool.
Yeah. So we may have, and also as ILSF as opposed to BVW, once with a little bit more information, we may have a little bit more flexibility than we do with ones that are wetland adjacent. So okay, so given that, and again, the landscaper, can you repeat your name, please?
Yes, George Haney. I have one other
George.
question too.
Yeah.
So if we have the okay to take the logs out, one other question was, once you and Janet came out when we stopped the work, the dirt that, well, more of the, vegetation, like the pine needles and leaves that went into the pond and, kind of disintegrated at the bottom that we were taking out. As we were taking them out, you guys saw, and in the picture as well, you can kind of see on behind the excavator, there's a pile of dirt. And one of my other concerns was, given that pile of dirt, there's not really a consistent grade to the pond for the water to flow. And especially with the rains that we've been having this year, I would hate for there to be another area turned into a wetland that wasn't previous a wetland. So would it be okay for us to do some rough grading of the lawn over on that side behind the excavator and the pitcher, just to ensure that all the water still flows to the pond?
So you do want to block it and create another wet depression on the backside of that pile?
Yeah, just because the pile wasn't there beforehand and now it's there. So with the rain, I don't want the water to be going to the wrong part of the yard where it hasn't in previous years.
Janet, what's this whole site is so compromised. What's your feeling on that? Basically to smooth that out so that everything drains into the pond, which is what we would normally want anyway.
Yeah, without going back and seeing the site, I would be hesitant to really allowing any other work except for stabilizing it as is. Until you get your wetland scientist out there to evaluate the site. I think, if maybe you could put your request in writing and send some photos. But my sense would be that the commission approve an enforcement order tonight. The homeowner can move quickly to hire someone to get out there. And if that individual feels that they've been able to evaluate the site properly, Sorry about that.
Nope,
I
nope.
think once the scientist has been out there to document the conditions, then perhaps we could address that.
Well, why don't we follow through on that, but at the same time, I think be open, Janet, to another site visit, to visit George. Because it's a mucky site. And I understand the concern there, and you may be able to make that call on your own out there. It's just an organic pile that because it is such a bowl where everything does drain down there. So let's work on a parallel track for that. Okay.
So, yeah, just to follow up on that, George, so if you could just take some photos and then explain in an email. You have my email, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I have the document you sent me. I'm pretty yeah, that was from your email. So I can send some pictures and a written request to that.
Okay, that would be
And
great.
if you want to coordinate another site visit, I'd be more than happy to meet you out there and express my concern in person as well.
Okay.
Okay. So, Varden, what we're going to do is Lori, our administrator, will be writing up an enforcement order that will outline the steps you need to take, that will basically reiterate what we told you this evening. And then you can also communicate with her to get some companies to call to find out which ones would be available the soonest for you here. And then let's, the goal for everybody here is to wrap this up as soon as we can, so that we can do the right thing and make things safer. Okay. Commissioners, or anyone else have anything else they want to add? And
I think Janet
Ellen,
has
I
a
noticed.
question.
What's that? Who?
I think Janet has a question.
Yeah, Donna, so I just wanted to add, so I'd recommend that the 7 corrective actions or steps be included in the enforcement order. And the second one, in terms of the deadline, which we should, I gave a deadline of 4 weeks. And probably not that much time is needed to have the site delineated and a report submitted, but I think that's reasonable, 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think if Audrey can find the right people and moves it faster, which is, I get the feeling he would like to, we're more than happy to to hear that. So I think I agree with you, Janet. 4 weeks is adequate. I just want Ellen Weinberg, I see you on here. I didn't know if you're here as a neighbor or were you waiting for something else. I didn't want you to be on here longer than you needed to be.
No, it's okay. Thank you. I'm just, curious about everything happening.
Oh,
So
okay.
thank you.
Fine.
Thank you for,
Okay.
and hi, by the
Hi.
way.
Hi, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, then on an enforcement order, do we need a vote for an enforcement order? Okay, then I would entertain a motion for issuing the enforcement order with the 7 items that Janet noted.
Move to issue an enforcement order on 29 Saddle Ridge, or outlining the potential wetland violations with the information provided by our agent.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Anna?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Hi.
Jim? Sarah?
Hi.
And I'm an aye there. Okay, let's we'll step it up and let's get it done. Okay, thank you. Let's see, next thing we're moving on to is Janet's invoice. Let me just pull out something here. Did commissioners have a chance to see Janet's invoice? Okay.
Yes.
So, and Lori, where would this money be coming from? Well, we're now into a new fiscal year, so this comes out of the, this will come out of the money for the consulting agent, is that correct?
Yes, the professional services line item of the regular budget.
Okay, great. So we no longer, for a number of months, don't have those concerns there. So the total amount is for $8,818.75. I have reviewed it. I don't know if other people have reviewed it, and I recommend we go ahead and vote in favor of it. Any questions? Okey doke. Then.
You need a
and-
second?
Thank you. All in favor? Anna?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Jim?
And
And I'm an aye as well. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Next we have we have an opening on the Open Space Committee, where Christie has taken a leave of absence. And so also, which allows us to segue also into friends and family, anyone who is interested in becoming a conservation commissioner that you know or think you can entice, please do. And if you get too many people who are interested, then we certainly can use them as associates.
any new incentives, John?
I was
What's
gonna say,
that?
is that why Ellen is Ellen on for that?
Right. There we go. Yeah, she's getting herself up. It's the start of her plan for world domination.
Right.
And so meanwhile, because Christy had been our open space rep, so we do need a conservation member who could step up for that. Amy, how often do you meet?
We meet once a month from September through June. And it's the first Tuesday of the month from 7:30 to 9 via Zoom.
Okay. And does it usually run the full hour and a half?
It does, because we go around and talk about what's happening in each of the different town and nonprofit land related, open space related organizations. So there's kind of a lot, and we usually have like one regular topic to discuss as well at the beginning, and then and hopefully that's about a half hour, 45 minutes. We occasionally end early, but it's only usually about 15 minutes early, not half an hour or an hour, but
And then did
like
you
to
say
end early.
did
We
you say
always
that,
end on time, though.
did you say Anna is your brother on the committee now, or
He's
was that
he's
Yep.
he's said he will do it. I haven't got the Board of Selectmen to appoint him yet, because I've been a little slow off the mark, but he's gonna take Val Lynn has one more year on her term, and she's with the tree committee and her kids being tweens and teens, she didn't really have time for it. So
Got it. Okay.
she's gonna come when she can, but as a member of the public.
Okay, so for one meeting per month. Do we
One
have any
meeting per
commission?
month, then some fun walks if you want to do them, and a booth at Dover Days.
And would anyone like to volunteer?
Don't all jump at it.
I know, it's rare that you can, in today's world where you can have such silence.
It's actually a very,
It is
very
interesting.
interesting.
I would have continued to do it, but I had two other conflicting meetings that I have to duck out of one of them often. But it is interesting, and it's a nice group of people.
Yeah. So, well, why don't if everyone could just give it some thought, let it percolate, dream about it, and then why don't we address it at our next meeting there? And also, if you can find somebody who would like to be in conservation, then, that would be
Maybe they'd
helpful as well.
do double duty.
Yeah.
I think that's the
so,
incentive, right? You get a new member and slide the open space to them. That's the.
Well, we should contact, I can't remember, the gentleman lived down on Hartford Street, who was, had shown us some of the Rocky Woods network there. What was that?
Alex Parker.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had meant, he had expressed an interest, and then that abated apparently. So, okay.
Well, we need to follow, we should just follow up and tell him there's a space now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I think, and also, we've talked to, we'll talk to Lori about, maybe posting something on the website and things of that
Well,
nature.
I think we still have time to get into the September newsletter. as well.
Yeah, so I think that's a goal, there. And Lori, are you hearing this, or are we just talking behind your back? So there we go.
I'm hearing it.
Okay, no, I didn't know if he was, in the room or not. So, yeah, so if, does that seem possible for getting that up to, is it Janet who does it, or I can't remember the name of the person who puts the newsletter together?
The newsletter, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I'll find out.
Okay. And is anybody on the Dover Facebook page?
Yeah,
Maybe you could do a quick little blurb on that,
okay.
if you have a chance.
Yeah, I just noticed, there's somebody who dialed in to the meeting.
Oh, with the 617, yeah.
Yeah, Lori probably needs who that is for the minutes.
Oh, okay. So
If they could-
2416. Yeah,
You
would
could just unmute and let us know who you are.
Yeah, I don't know if they need to
still
identify
listening.
themselves unless they speak. So
Okay. I just thought, because, we used to pass around the sign-in sheet to
Right.
everybody, so
right.
anyway,
So, yeah, so if they go.
just
Mhm.
trying to make sure we
Okay.
know who, it may be somebody who just couldn't hear and dialed in.
Speaking
So-
of the newsletter, I got from the Brewster Water Department today, a very nice note about no phosphorus containing fertilizers. That was a really nice one pager that could look good, done up for the town of Dover and added to something.
Oh,
That would be
good.
awesome, because that's been on my to-do list for 2 years
Yeah, I
now.
sent it to Lori and she.
Oh,
can
you
share
did?
it around.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yep,
And,
Well, and also we can maybe incorporate it for the realtors.
yeah, exactly.
right.
'Cause
Well, and that brings up, actually, so one of the things that, Amy and, Janet had been, discussing was a, thing regarding natural, how to deal with, mosquito control organically.
Yep.
And, I don't know if people had a chance to see that and to get that in the newsletter. And I think with Amy's, edits there, did anyone have a chance to review that? Is there
didn't
anything
yet.
else that they would like to, add to that?
No, I thought it was great.
Or subtract, actually, there was something subtracting that came up when I was reading it. One of them was, flood control on your property. My concern on that, strictly projecting, because I happen to be walking my property today and seeing how much road water I had come off Walpole Street over these last few storms. And the road sand that I thought didn't even exist anymore, by this time of year, that came down. And I think if we put flood control, Lori may be inundated with people who actually should be directed to DPW, as opposed to wetland flood control, and maybe either deleted or say, wetlands, oriented flood control in that, just so that she doesn't get the complaints about stuff coming in off the roadway.
Or do we mean floodplain?
floodplain is probably gets a little bit more arcane for the average homeowner.
Okay, well, I was just trying to get out of the. But maybe we don't need it at all because it isn't.
Yeah, why don't we, I
really,
think,
The runoff.
something we deal with all that often.
yeah, so I don't think, why don't we delete that from there? And because generally runoff, I would imagine at this point, highway department gets a call, or probably the town manager. But it's not something that we want to have added to our agenda there.
Well, that actually, I got a text today regarding some runoff, and Janet, this was from Greg Dowd, who I think spoke to you about 8 Greystone, is that right?
Yes.
So there's apparently, and I just wanted to, I don't think it's our issue, is it, Janet? I think it's,
Yeah, it's so all the runoff is coming from outside the buffer zone. So I've had conversations with him and the homeowner as well. And I'm working with Mike Angieri to address that from a purely a stormwater control point of view.
okay, so that's building department, not,
Right, or it's actually DPW. Yeah.
okay.
DPW.
So we also had one where a neighbor questioned 6 Sterling. And which is pretty vegetated at this point. So I don't know, do you have an idea, Janet, of, and given it's in your neighborhood, what may be going on there?
Yeah, so I just wanted to circle back on the mosquito control article.
Oh, okay.
What?
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
I'll remove the flood control reference, and then Amy's edited changes, and I've talked to Ruth Townsend, who is the editor. So
Okay.
this is coming. So is everyone else comfortable then with taking out flood control and then Amy's red line comments, and then I can get that into Ruth by the deadline?
Yeah, I thought Janet's article, I mean, I didn't change it much. I just tried to break it up a little more.
No, I thought
to make
they
it
were
a
reasonable.
little easier to read for those of us with first grade educations or reading abilities. I'm really good with numbers, really not very good with words.
So,
And actually, it was Anna who first brought this up as a concern with all the
Yes. Yeah,
company.
it's
Cool.
definitely Anna's.
Well, and it's interesting, the 29, wherever it was, Colonial Stage, Saddle Ridge, it's just it's waiting to be a mosquito breeding ground from what we saw. It's just, so.
I guess I should have asked him what his objective with it is.
I don't know if he
To make
knew. I
an
think
easier backyard to.
I think it looked from what you pulled up, they did have a backyard. There was just, don't really know. There were just, it looked like trees that were right down to the edge there. And everything is upland, right, all the way around. That's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
see.
no, I just, he's trying to restore the pond to its original function.
Yeah, I think we can only surmise as we discuss
I
things
guess
with
we'll
him.
find out what he
He wasn't
proposes.
looking to fill it in. And there was no indication of that. They were actually
Okay,
basically dredging it. So
yeah. I think he was
it's
just trying to make it
nicer.
more usable. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
Yeah, or his view of nicer. I mean, a homeowner's view of nicer. So we'll get, with a wetlands expert, we'll get a better idea of what's actually
Yeah.
going on there. Let's see.
So that's also part of the mosquito education. So mosquito breeding grounds, especially the mosquito, the Culex pippin, that is like the only species that harbors West Nile virus. It breeds in like pretty much at the most 6 to 12 inches of standing water. So a 4-inch pond, he may, and I'll reach out to him with some education
You
materials.
said a 4-foot pond, not a 4-inch pond, right?
Well, we don't know. That's the whole thing. And by the
Well, it
end
looks
of
like it's 4 feet, not.
yeah,
4.
but it may be in April. By the end of August, on a typical August, it might be 4 to 6 inches. We don't really know. So because there's nothing feeding it other than rainfall, it looks like. So let's see. Okay, why don't we move into Janet's report?
One quick question on
oh.
just the mosquito thing. I had an idea. Should we add a sentence saying like remove the standing water, or in case people don't click through, or do we want to send as is? Because
My
I think it's
concern
great and I
is-
want to get it out for September.
Yeah, my concern is, so somebody has just bought themselves a neat little Kubota. And so their idea of removing standing water becomes something bigger than what we, intended. So I think let them click through and find out is my sense on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, updates, Janet?
Sure. So I think if it would be a good idea, I think we have enough ideas for like an article every month in the digital newsletter. So if people want to send me their ideas, or if they have content, or like Jim, if you wanted to, whatever you had received regarding phosphorus limits, and that would be good. So I think if we could do
Actually,
something.
zero.
Yeah. So anyway, so maybe that's something every month we can review and try to submit. A couple other things before I get to actually what's on here. So John mentioned 6 Sterling. Lori had gotten a call from the downhill abutter on Raleigh Road abutting 6 Sterling. So we had that, torrential rain on Monday morning. And she indicated, as had her son in previous permitting meetings on 6 Sterling, that they do get runoff from 6 Sterling. There is quite a down slope. So there was evidence of substantial runoff. And she also said that she had heard them taking down, she didn't see it, but she heard chainsaws close to her house taking down trees on 6 Sterling. I am reluctant to go to 6 Sterling by myself, given past encounters. So what I would like to recommend is that we send a letter to 6 Sterling asking for a site inspection that included Joyce from GLM, just to review existing conditions, including their monitoring report, which is something I've been wanting to do. But I think, given Mrs. Dalton's concerns, that a site visit is worth it, and having a letter go out rather than just a phone call, I think is, given the history at this property, that might be a good idea.
So did you go to Mrs. Dalton's yard, and what was it that you saw?
So in her backyard, she's got about 15 feet of yard before there's a ledge slope up to the Scalabrini's property. So I could see the erosion control and the orange construction fence, and I could see that there has been runoff from that site onto her property.
And was it is it vegetated beyond that? Is it, is 3 Sterling or 6 Sterling vegetated up to the erosion control?
It looked like it.
Because here's where my thought is. I know in that neck of the woods, regardless of what people may have done recently, that historically the people uplanded there, when we have rains like that, because of the preponderance of the ledge there, that they have water that runs off a lawn and will run downhill to the next street over. So I was just was curious to see if there'd been any evidence of silt or something, because I'm of the impression that that most of the vegetation is in place and has been for a while. Is that correct? Do you know, for 6 Sterling?
So I have not been to that site for quite a while, and that's what to do, is to meet Joyce out there and review the site. So perhaps that's the best next approach. It clearly looked to me like there were wood chips that had come off of 6 Sterling, had eroded down into her property.
Okay. And then are we at a stage with 6 Sterling where they didn't meet the 75% survival threshold and we were waiting for some plantings, or where do we stand with them? That you can figure out.
So they had 2 phases of planting restoration. So the first phase is in. There are a lot of invasives, which Joyce indicated in her report. But the
Mhm.
second phase, I'm not sure, once the pool was in, which it is in, they were supposed to start their second phase of
Mhm.
restoration, and I don't believe that started, but it really should.
Okay. Well, that seems in addition to Mrs. Dalton, that seems another thing to get clarified. So why don't we, if you can communicate with Lori about what you want to have in that letter, let's get that out.
Okay, well, maybe we don't need a letter. Perhaps if I just contact Joyce, and then John, I'll let you know when the site meeting is, if you could join us too.
Mhm.
Just to evaluate where they are, and look at the plant restoration areas too. Maybe
Okay.
that's.
So
Yeah.
That may,
I just
Go ahead.
wonder, was this runoff from Monday's rain?
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Which,
It's-
well,
it was,
is your concern mean, basically most people had run off from Monday's rain? Is
yeah,
that the,
I think there was, yeah, I mean, there was so much rain. I mean, I've lived in this house 32 years. I had a little bit of water in my basement.
Mhm,
First time in 32 years.
mhm, mhm.
No, I mean, and I think that's, John, I think you had a good point, is that's a ledge up there. It's essentially a ledge cliff from Six
Yeah.
Sterling down to Raleigh Road. I'm not surprised, but I mean,
Right.
it sounds like, and I think even back when this all started, it was pretty stable, right? I mean,
There was a period where that was all exposed, but then it got vegetated.
but I
And
mean, even when it was exposed, I don't think that we had issues with runoff, did we?
There was a question early on, I think right after the trees had come down. And then, but again, even I remember the first site visit, because there was evidence they needed to double up on their erosion control there.
Yeah.
But that was when they were looking at doing a much broader scope with the sports court and all that there.
Yep.
They pulled that back. But at the same time, it'd be nice for everybody to close this all out. So the idea
Yeah.
of having Janet call Joyce.
No, I think a site visit would be a great idea.
Yeah, I think this spurs us to at least view it even, and I don't want to make it as an assumption from Mrs. Dalton's part, but
Right.
there were, as I mentioned earlier, there are emails all over the town regarding water infiltration from Monday's rain. But that, I don't want to discount her concerns.
No, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
but it does give us an ability, it also brings it to our attention that, we should be very close to completion on this job. At least this decade. Okay, why don't we continue there, Janet?
Our stormwater peer reviewer on Red Robin had indicated some concerns. Sent a copy of an email I sent to Paul McGovern to everyone. I haven't heard back. None of the compliance or non-compliance issues are major, but they do need to be taken care of as they start finishing up the work. The septic leaching field is in, and so they are moving along pretty quickly with that project. So I'll keep everyone updated on that. The next.
Janet, Janet, I just had a question. I saw the pictures on that. That retaining basin that is right up against the wall there, is that a temporary basin that's just there for while they're working?
It is temporary, but Tetra Tech's concern was it's substantial enough that they're concerned that it could affect that retaining wall. It could have permanent damage
Interest, okay.
to the stabilization of that wall. Yeah.
Mhm. And so are they looking at do they have all the underground water, the drainage, concrete structures and so forth, that's all in place?
All in
And
place.
so it sounds like they're getting ready to activate the drainage setup, and that's why Tetra Tech asked for the burlap or the basin covers for straining things out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at that point, once they do that, they won't need that basin, I would imagine. So we'll
Right.
see. Okay.
The next item is a recommendation that we post. MACC has a directory of wetland services that I sent out. This is a list of companies who are extremely well qualified to do a number of things, including wetland delineations and permitting. I will say that more and more of my time is being spent with projects and NOIs that are being submitted that are substandard and that are really taking a lot of my time and the commission's time to try to get folks into compliance and make sure they submit everything they need. I would recommend that we have this list on our website. So folks, we can always just point to that and say, these are companies who have been vetted by MACC. They're a range. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger, but I think that it would be in our interest to provide that rather than just have companies. I don't know how some of these applicants find their wetland consultants, but my suggestion would be to have the highest quality applications coming into us, that we post this list on our website and have folks. I mean, we're not recommending them, but we're simply saying, here's a list and it's provided by MACC.
So Lori, we've had, over the years, the idea of coming up with lists. And I know, do you have a list of relatively local folks like GLM and things like that, that you could give out to people, or where do we stand on that?
There is a list, and I've usually used local people familiar with the Dover regulations that have done work in town.
So my concern, Jan, about that list was it's primarily large commercial concerns, which are also going to be very pricey for homeowners. The other issue I had was on a Windows machine trying to print it out. I basically could barely see it. It wouldn't scale up, so that's a practical concern. But do you see my concern there? Beals and Thomas and LEC and all very good, but for somebody who's basically looking to put a deck on, it might be a little bit of overkill.
Yeah, it could be, but I'd say a lot of the projects we're seeing are on the more complex side, and that I mean, they still could get local names, but I just see a lot of wasted time and effort in dealing with some of the consultants we've had before us fairly recently, and we spin our wheels. And I'll tell you, in terms of like the pre-construction time it takes me to tell people what they need to do when they should just be reading the order of conditions, it's very frustrating. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but I know quite a few other towns do post this directory on their website as simply as a resource for people. Doesn't prevent them from, looking for someone else. But I'll be honest, we've had some applications and they drag on because of inaccuracies by the consultant, and they end up charging the applicant twice as much of wasted.
Yeah, no, that crossed my mind. So, well, I think for MACC, it gives us a little distance so that we're not necessarily endorsing these folks, but it's something that's been pre-endorsed, and only a certain number of people are going to be looking at the website versus people who contact Lori, who can also not only direct them to that, but also mention some of the people that she currently and I'm not saying recommends, that she currently brings to their attention. So
Right.
I don't see it.
Available consultants.
What's that?
Some locally available consultants.
Right. So any commissioners have any input on that?
No, I think having at least an initial document to point people to is a great idea. And I think Lori having a list of, local consultants that regularly appear before us is a good idea as well. Again, not endorsing any of them, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
And
I also
Lori,
think-
Lori, what's your, do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okey-doke. And I did have a question, Lori. On so I was kind of caught unaware by the person who was asking about the minutes. because I knew we had approved a few, but I wasn't sure once they get approved, how long does it take before they get posted relative to town IT and all that stuff? Do you have any
Well,
idea?
the last set that was posted had quite a bit of changes, and I think that might have been approved at the meeting I wasn't at, which was the end
So
of
once-
July.
so once you-
So that's not that long ago.
Oh, okay, so once you get those, it doesn't take the town a month to post them. Once
No,
they're
Felicia does
approved.
it the same day once I make all the revisions.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I just want, so because one of the ones we did approve was May 10th, which I believe is the one that had the extensive outline for the enforcement action that Janet had added to those minutes.
And that is posted. It was
That
just
is.
posted last week because it had a lot of changes on it, so. it
Yeah,
took
no,
me
so I
a
wasn't
while to get to
sure,
the-
I wasn't sure what the
No,
timeframe was.
there's no, like, as soon as they're done, which, especially lately, because we're trying to get caught up, I try to do those changes as soon as I can, and Felicia posts it as soon as she can.
Okay.
Because she
so
wants to
yeah,
know it's up to date too.
Yeah, I didn't know what that lag time was, so I 'cause
Yeah,
I was
no,
tempted to
none.
I was tempted to tell him about the May 10th one, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't. And
Yeah,
so-
no, it's up there, so.
Okay,
I think he mentioned May 10th, so I
well,
feel like he saw that, but he's wondering
so?
where the other
Oh,
more
okay.
recent ones are, so.
yeah. So,
But it
okay.
occurred, it occurred to me that this was somebody who is, if he's coming before us, he's kind of insulting.
Oh, interesting. Good point.
Insulting the judge,
Yeah.
criticizing
but,
the judge. I don't know. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
a good strategy. to
Yeah,
me.
not, yeah, well, unfortunately, I've forgotten his name already, but we'll get that in the minutes. But yeah, but it was a rambling answer because I don't disagree with him because I was caught a little off guard because I didn't have all the information at hand, so. Anyway, continuing, Janet.
So I did want to ask, I had a question for the commission. Someone asked me this question. I was in the townhouse for an inspectors meeting today. So the selectmen had sent out a memo to all town boards and commissions back in July. The memo was dated July 26th. And it included the Board of Selectmen's FY24 goals and priorities. And it went to like all the town boards, I don't know, like 15 town boards. And it asked for all the boards' feedback on the goals and priorities.
Mhm.
And the deadline was August 7th. And then the selectmen had a meeting today. And someone asked me like, oh, the commission didn't have any comments. And I said, I hadn't heard of this. And so I just wanted to check to see if any of the commissioners had gotten a copy of this memo from the Board of Selectmen.
Do you know what date it was?
It
when
was July 26th. And
So
it-
they sent something out July 26th and they wanted 2 weeks.
And it was it was just saying that here's our priorities for the next year.
Yeah, what are yours?
What are yours? And there's no process.
It was asking for comments on the selectmen's.
Oh, that was not the impression I
Priorities.
got.
Oh, okay.
No,
I
it
think I-
did not ask for comments. It just
No.
said these are.
Right.
Well,
Oh,
actually,
I didn't get this. Did
somebody
someone
showed it
forward
to
me?
me. Somebody showed the memo to me and it did specifically said, we're looking for your comments and we need those submitted by August 7th.
So our comments for our desires or our comments on their desires?
Well, since they're the executive body of the town and act for everyone, they were looking for feedback on what they think the priorities for the town are. And someone showed me the planning board, the Board of Health, Park and Rec, they all had responses on things that I think we would be concerned about too, such as online permitting, digitizing all our systems and files, website enhancements, and the Board of Health asked for a working group with all commissions like ours to further discuss water resource issues. So they were some of these were substantive responses to the selectmen, but I just didn't know if anyone had gotten this memo. I certainly didn't see it, and I don't remember it being.
I never got the original memo. I got Lori's forward on July 31st.
Right.
So I'm
And
not
was that
Right,
gonna,
and
they're
Janet,
not gonna
you
get a
weren't-
response in a week.
Yeah, I'm looking at the email and somehow you weren't listed on it. On the. From Lori, but, yeah, I got
Yeah.
it too, and I, as open space chair, and I didn't read the memo carefully.
So
because-
was that the one where part of their priorities were discussing moving to a 5-person board of selectmen and things of that sort of?
Well,
Yes.
it's also that we got it.
A week
We
ahead. of
got it
Kit's
on the
response.
day of our last meeting, so
Right.
we couldn't talk about it then. So this is the first chance that we've had to even talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted to respond, today was the first time we would have been able to have
Mm-hmm.
a response.
So Janet, the things that you just tallied off, were those parts of the responses from the other boards? Or was that incorporated in the selectmen letter there?
So the selectmen, it's a little erratic if they include documents when they post their meeting.
Okay.
But for their meeting today, where they talked about this, they
Mhm.
did post some of the responses by other boards. So
Oh,
you
okay. Can you send this to Lori and then she'll forward them out to us? Do you have those in electronic, or were those notes that you took?
So you can't it's somehow encrypted by the selectmen when they post their agendas. But if you simply go on their agenda for today's meeting
Mm-hmm.
and open up that link to the agenda, you'll see all the documents there.
Oh, okay. And then can we copy and paste out of that?
You know, I think one of the things we would have had a comment on was the Hale Reservation conservation restriction.
And do we have a cogent response on that yet? I'm not sure.
No, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the items they wanted feedback on. That's one of their goals and priorities for fiscal
Well,
24.
We have to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna,
Yeah,
if we pass on it, we will never get another chance.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I totally agree with that, but.
Well, don't we have a meeting with Hale coming up?
We
at
do.
Powasset Farm? Yeah,
On
so
the
we're-
21st.
Yeah, so I think one of Lori, can you go on to their agenda and then copy and paste that, or send us a link or whatever, so that we can review what other boards have sent into them, because it sounds like we would pretty much agree with most of them, and then we'll see if there's anything specific to conservation that we want to add to that.
I will try to bring
Well-
up the documents. Maybe I can print them out and scan them and send them to you.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how else I would do it.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Well, you might be able to just highlight it and move it and copy and paste it, but I don't know,
Yeah.
since Janet mentioned the, I don't know, the concept of encryption.
I mean,
I wasn't.
most of it has nothing to do with us.
Mhm.
I will say, though, the online permitting is something I've talked to other land use folks about, and we've been talking about this for years, and the selectmen always say, oh, we'll get to it, but there's general consensus among the staff that that should be a priority. And actually, the selectmen did discuss it today, and they made that a top priority, is
Mhm.
hiring a firm to help us implement online permitting, which would solve so many problems. It would be a huge time saver. Because if, I'll get an email from Walter about an issue, and then I have to talk to him, and then talk to Jason, and then Kevin McCabe. And if we had all this information in one place that tells us exactly where things are in the permitting process, and contractors could go in and see it, and homeowners, it would
But
be.
in theirs, there's nothing in here that talks about on their goals. This is on some other town,
Oh, is this-
other committee
is
has
that-
brought this up, right?
No, it is in one of their goals. It may not be explicit, but it's technology, modernization, And I can't remember what else they call it, but I
So I
believe,
just to let you, so I deal with other towns.
No, it's all they have is in technology and communications, all they have is website and public communication / notification. They don't
Right.
have anything about any.
So
any
that's why
workflow
that's why I asked
improvement.
Lori to take what the feedback that they've received that they put on their agenda. In other towns that I deal with, although interesting, because I try not to build in wetlands anymore, and I never did, but the most towns that I currently deal with have had building permit stuff online since COVID.
For
since the
years. No,
beginning
for
of
years,
COVID.
even,
Yeah, and many prior to that, but COVID really pushed it.
yeah,
And so it's out there, and in this town is very slow when it comes to IT stuff, compared to other towns. What I don't know is in terms of, it would make sense if that can also be incorporated for conservation. And we'll see, because we currently get most of that data in a PDF format in the first place. So I think permitting.
isn't the DEP form a fillable field online?
I don't know if it's fillable.
I think it is, to be
It
honest. with
is.
you. I think
Yeah,
it is.
so it could be that, they engineers are doing all that and they file electronically, and then we get the PDF of it.
Right.
So most of what we get currently is probably tied into Permitize, which is the name of the program that's used in other towns. And then what I don't know is which board has access to it. But they can change the permissions for that. So, but there's no question that
Stop
would make
talking
things.
sense, John.
What's that?
Stop talking sense.
So sorry. I'll work on that. So anyway, why don't we review all that, and that will hopefully that'll spur any conservation related items that we might, that are specific to us that we might.
Yeah, I'm on the documents they included. It was 3 or 4 pieces of feedback from like assessors. Kathy Weld sent one in as part of warrant, and Kay Peterson, DPH, and I think that's it.
Carol Lisbon.
Carol Lisbon. One of the things we've talked about over the years was either getting an intern, or maybe this might be an opportunity, is the concept of being notified by assessing or somebody, relative to sales transactions of homes along the river or in known wetland areas or things of that sort, so that we could then send a letter out to them. So that maybe that's something that we.
Well, I mean,
we've tried that several times over the years.
No, but now they're asking for we're
Yeah,
looking for them to
no, I
do it
know.
for us, Yeah, so I mean, that's. something
that's as simple as a database flag that says.
Yeah, when we could put that on our wish list for them. So that's all I'm bringing it up as. Anyway, so Lori, let me know if there's an issue with that, of trying to get that out. But that would be helpful. Appreciate it.
I don't think it's too late to submit comments.
No.
So, I mean, a lot of other boards haven't yet, so better
Yeah.
late.
No, well, this is the earliest that we could talk about it, and we're talking about it. So actually,
In accordance with
regardless
the
of,
open meeting laws.
regardless of their date, we're handling this as expeditiously as possible. So.
If you want me to send this out, I actually was able to download it.
Sure. We'll send it to Lori, and then she'll send it out.
There's
We're not
actually
supposed to.
Jonathan Fryer has
Has
an
what?
open meeting law violation complaint against them.
Oh, against the
That was
selectmen.
the first
Yeah.
item on the agenda.
Oh, there you go. Well, and didn't I don't know if he ever. I think he was on the planning board at one point. I don't know if he was ever a selectman. That. Okay, yeah. If you could send that to Lori, that way.
Yeah, I'll send it right now.
He was
not
on the
communicating.
Conservation Commission.
Jonathan was.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
yes.
Oh,
When I joined, he was on it.
okay. So, yeah. So in that way, Jim, we're not communicating directly with
Yeah,
commissioners.
no, that's
so,
fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, just a quick update on the Junction Street Pulte development proposal. Amy and Anna both also attended that, which was Zoom bombed at the beginning. So that was very,
I actually couldn't get back in, so I'd love an update.
yeah, and it actually is online now too. So
Without the entertainment, according to Carol Lisbon.
yes,
So-
without the, yeah. So they will be coming in with their ANRAD, I expect for either the next meeting or the meeting after that. I know Rich Kirby's been out to the site. So he's putting his ANRAD together now. Everyone's very interested to see what the wetlands look like that could impact their development footprint. The meeting was your basic meeting, how wonderful they thought they were, and you know, all the wonderful things they could do for Dover, help us with our affordable housing. They did outline a number, you know, that the sticklers are going to be wetlands, but also water supply and septic.
Which they think they're gonna get from Medfield.
Yes, they referenced the fact that there are some discussions going on with Medfield about tying into their water and sewer, which
Medfield's already short on water and they're about to develop the Med State property, so I don't think they're gonna have any.
Yeah, we don't know because maybe they have a fail-safe to tie into MWRA water in times of need. And there may be a requirement relative to the to 40B.
But Medfield's not gonna have any 40B problem after they do.
No, it's not that. It's more regional basis for 40B as well as the transportation bill that they put out, so that they may require towns that have access to MWRA to help those projects
But
proceed.
Medfield doesn't have MBTA.
We don't either, and yet we're actually subject to it as well.
But
So-
adjacent towns have to help
Yeah.
other adjacent, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
just
I'm
I've
sure
seen-
that there'll be a lot of gnashing of teeth, but
yeah.
I just, they're,
I'd be surprised if Med State redevelopment doesn't require a treatment plant.
Oh, well, they may get access to sewer, you know, and you know, they so I believe they have sewer
no, I
available.
mean, Medfield has sewer.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, they'll do that. The question is whether or not they need access to MWRA water and
They won't get, whatever, they'll.
yeah, it's really, it's
not my problem. It's not our problem
It's
yet.
not worth us speculating on it yet. Yeah, so anyway, okay, carry on, please.
So the next issue is the Trout Brook Road, Edgewater Drive 40B. ZBA opened the hearing on that. John attended that. They did discuss, instead of, usually the sequence is go to ZBA, get your 40B approval, and then you go to Board of Health for your septic, and then you come to Concom once you have your house lots. It sounds like they want to do all of that concurrently, so we may see separate NOIs, those 4 NOIs coming in on those lots fairly soon.
Well, and there was a question whether or not they would, as a 40B. So number one, they got permission from Mass Housing because, you know, the idea of having this non-contiguous lots be incorporated into a 40B. They actually got approval by Mass Housing because they're in the same neighborhood. So that answered a question, you know, that one of we've encountered before with other attempts at this. Then they wanted to know whether or not they would approach us for a NOI that covered all 4 lots versus the individual lots, because they're being viewed as one 40B project. I think, I can't recall, I think it was like do it whichever way you please, and we'll take a look at it and see which is the appropriate one. My first thought was, and I voiced it, was that it would make sense to do them individually because of they each had different elevations, different grades. And one of the questions that came up, since we're familiar with that area and we know that 108 feet, we all have it in our memory, is the floodplain zone for that neck of the woods for the Charles, had asked if based on climate change and, the volume of rainstorms and things of that sort, whether the state was looking or FEMA was looking at changing the floodplain designations. And they said they weren't aware of anything. And Carol Lisbon was on the call, and she said, well, as a matter of fact, they have already done so, and they're due to send those new FEMA maps out in October or November. So it's an interesting thing, because that's one thing that could possibly affect their some of their grading there. They have a number of stone walls shown to demarcate where 108 is, and then they can jump up on their grade rather than filling in, the floodplain. If it's expanded out to 109, that's going to make things a little tighter for them. We'll see where it all comes out. So I think that's the only thing I recall, Janet, for anything else that concern conservation. Can you think of anything else?
No, I think that's it. But, again, they're asking for substantial waivers here for basically one affordable unit for, so it will be interesting. And that's a situation where I think we would bring Paul in as a third party situation.
So I think, we did reference third parties. We also asked the question under DEP Title V, they can be within 50 feet of a wetland with their septic system. And so, and then they can also mound the septic systems, as opposed to Dover bylaws that don't allow that to happen on vacant lots. And also historically, I guess, Harvard had been bequeathed those lots at one point, and they sold them to the applicant a number of decades ago. So it's just an interesting, which at that point they were viewed as unbuildable. So interesting.
And then last but not least is the minor modification policy guidelines that we've been talking about for a while. And I think just to illustrate a couple examples. So for Riverside Drive, you remember they changed their plans so many times, but their last request for well, they came to us and said, is this an amendment or a modification? And they're actually moving the footprint of the house, enlarging the footprint within the buffer zone. And after review, we said that's an amendment. And applying this policy would have given, they probably wouldn't even needed to come to us. It would have been clear that it was an amendment and not a minor modification. So that's how I see the policy being used. People can look at it and say, oh, this is too much of a change. It's an amendment. But then you have a situation like 2 Raleigh Road where it was a small expansion of a driveway. And it was not going to have any more impact. They were doing porous pavers. And so that clearly was a minor modification, because there was no question of, oh, is this going to have an impact or not? Do we need more information? And the answer is no. It's a straightforward change. So I don't know if the commission's comfortable approving that tonight. We've been carrying it over for quite a few meetings.
Well, I think those are really good examples, which I was looking for things, I was concerned more, 5 square feet of deck or something like that. But I think in reviewing that, and also the concept, I would like to go over with you just to tighten up some of the wording to make that a little bit, let's see if we can condense it a little bit, but also sort of bullet point, so we make it a little bit more understandable. And then I think we would be ready to present that and make a move for that. My concern had been that we're just creating too much paperwork, but I think this, in light of the quality of some of the wetlands experts or project managers that we've been encountering, this might actually save time by giving some people some guidance there. So if we need to, you and I are due for a monthly meeting coming up anyway. So let's have that on the agenda to tighten up, and then we can move forward on that.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
That's it for me.
Okay, does anyone else have anything they would like to, Anna?
Yeah, quick question on, can you hear me, by the way? I had to switch off.
Yeah, no, you
Okay.
sound great. Yeah. Mhm.
Great. Yeah, Jen and I were kicking around the idea of maybe in the spring, maybe sometime, sending out a letter to folks with more of the mosquito information and maybe to companies. So it's like a ways away, but does that sound like something everyone would like? B, should we do a motion? How do we do mailings?
So typically we try to cheap out and send it out with property bills. But Lori, you want to update us on how our ability to do things like that? Do we have an expense account that can be used for mailings? Or I know we have tuition, we have administrative things, but is there something there where we could get that?
Do you mean a service to do it or copies?
No, well, I guess both. Do we have a budget item that would allow us to get something like that, covered? And as we had the 2,000 households in Dover, I don't know what the bulk rate is for postage. Unless we all want to volunteer and drop things off in mailboxes, but
It's cheap enough. I mean, I think you can get as low as 22 cents a mailing with the pre-sort.
Okay.
You
Why
know,
don't we? Yeah, I think the idea of some sort of outreach, or the hope is they're trying to get the town website to be better and more accessible. I mean, as it is now, most towns you can go click on a calendar for a month and see all the meetings. And we don't have that. It's like 6 or
Yeah,
7
but
steps.
people are
to
still
figure-
not gonna go to the website, especially
No.
for mosquito control.
No, but I think
Or understanding what
double post,
what their wetlands regulations are, so.
No, I think
We
better
do have
use
to
of-
do a mailer and.
Well,
I
better
think
better
putting it
use
in
of the town
tax bill's
website,
fine.
but my sense on the mailer is also, one of my pet peeves has been we ask people to use organic fertilizers, but we don't tell them where to get them or what they actually are. It maybe incorporate something that in the same mailer. Just some information that would make things easier for people to, and as well as the thing of, the things that we used to send out to folks for, being aware of wetlands on their properties. So if we're going to go for mailer, I think we should incorporate a bunch of things in there.
Yes, I agree. And
Mm.
I think Anna's just saying, well, let's do it in the spring when we can hit people with mosquitoes and fertilizer and everything all at once.
Yeah.
We
You got
send
So-
it with like the February tax bill, right?
yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I don't know if we can get, rather than having, depends on how much we're trying to squeeze into the tax bill. But I know that many people, if they have mortgages, they don't even open their tax bills. So I don't know if a direct mailer from us would be
Okay.
more appropriate.
I like a direct
but-
mailer, but we could maybe do a bit of both. I just,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking process wise, if we want to send out a mailer, we should probably start, not this moment, but relatively soon, so we got plenty of time. And then I guess we need to do just like approve it together and then send it at a reasonable time.
Well, I think we want to bring Lori, in on this because she has
Yeah.
some hands-on, and then in your software world,
Mhm.
do you have the ability to come up with a mailer? Have you designed, things of that nature before, or?
I've done websites and some stuff, but yeah,
Yeah,
Canva, is-
or no folks
a
or
lot of
whatever.
Canva is free.
yeah.
What's that?
There's an application called Canva, which
Uh-huh.
helps you put together flyers. That's how I did the hail information flyer that we never really distributed.
Looks great.
But if somebody wants to do anything for the open space to give out at the open space booth at Dover Days, I'm happy to give it out. We're going to be concentrating on hail this year, but that doesn't mean we can't
And
provide
when is Dover,
information
when
about
is Dover Days? October?
September.
September 9th.
Yeah, September
Oh,
9th.
okay. That might be, so maybe we can come up with
I
a,
will say that one page, one side, one page means it's a self mailer, or it can go as a self mailer because you fold it into thirds.
right,
this is
right.
it, and out it goes. So if it's it might be multiple mailings versus
Interesting.
multiple
Well,
sheets.
why don't we,
and-
why don't we start to explore that? Because we
Yeah.
talked it to death for many years.
Right.
But I think we have enough compelling information. But I think my concern there is, and Canva may be the way to go. It may be, we can take a look at the cost, but the idea of a 3-color, slightly heavier stock thing that will get attention and not just get thrown in the mail. Maybe, we can review that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for coming with the town of Dover seal on it.
Yeah, well, we'll make sure we can have permission to use that seal, even if we come up with our own mailer. But the concept of a bit of both, maybe we do get something into a tax bill.
Yeah.
And then also do something separately.
Like I
But
said,
think
I was actually really impressed with the one that Brewster sent about fertilizers today. And it came in the water bill that I got from them.
Mhm, mhm.
If you want to experiment and try one out for Dover days, like we can,
Mhm.
I'm happy to give a few out and you can see if
Yeah.
people,
No, I think the main thing there is
how it
it's
works.
who would
but-
who would put that together, because Lori right at the moment uses every ounce of her day. And so that would have to be, somebody
I can do
able to
that.
come up with that. Okay.
I can figure it out.
Okay, great. Then
Get started.
let's see. And Lori, any questions concerning this? No, okay.
And,
Any other?
Lori,
any
did
other-
you get that email I sent you, the scan of the Brewster thing?
I haven't seen it yet because I wasn't in the office today.
Okay, nope, that's fine.
The first question John asked me about this though is budget, and I don't think there's really a budget item.
A line, I didn't know if there was an
line item.
administrative. I knew there was like for printers or computers or there was like $1,000 budget for something.
But it's for like a piece of equipment type of thing.
Right, okay, so,
But I
well,
know
we
we
need-
have included things with the tax bill before, but it's
Yeah.
usually just one page we include.
yeah.
So,
So, no, but I think the idea, let's see what we can get done. It's always been really one of manpower. Has been the first hurdle to overcome.
Right.
And
right.
so let's start down the road, see what we can come up with, and then take it and follow through on it. So,
I mean, maybe possibly under the education section because you're trying to educate,
yeah.
I don't know. I would have to ask the accountant where it could come from if there's anything that could with the current budget, and then if not, maybe.
Do we have
Yep.
any sort of coordination with the high school relative to interns or anything of that sort, or the senior class project, or?
Community outreach or something.
Not
Yeah, and
that I have
mhm,
seen. Courtney had a couple of interns come in when she was here.
mhm,
But that's the only time I've ever seen it.
okay. Did somebody just sign off? My Alta screen went bigger.
The 617 number.
Oh, okay. So let's see. Well, given all this, Ellen, if you want to volunteer, if you want to put your name in as a conservation commission.
We love Ellen. Ellen's
So-
lovely.
So anyway, well, then let's.
I just think I have to learn a little more of the ropes a little bit.
You can be an
Well, that's what-
assistant.
That's
Yeah,
where,
no,
yeah,
you
we have an associate position
Associate, right.
specifically for that. And it's
And an
not, we don't,
education budget.
you don't get tied into anything. If you decide it's not for you, we don't stake out your house or anything. But just there, I appreciate I appreciate your hanging in the meeting and stuff.
And Ellen, I'd be more than happy to walk you through it as well.
So anyway,
So I just-
given all,
I just went
given all,
online and it's $1,000 for,
So I just want to remind people that we are just before the next meeting, we are meeting at Poisson Farm for the CR. Anna has
And-
requested that it be a little bit later than 5:30. Does that work? If it works for the trustees, can people do it at 6 or 6:30?
what's the
Yeah,
date?
is it-
I think I
It's
can do
Monday, the
5:30.
21st.
I actually think I can do 5:30. My
Oh.
concern was actually outdoors.
Yeah,
I've
so
got a family member, so.
they have the downstairs there, they have a big screen porch. And I've asked DA if we can do it down there, assuming that it's either not
Raining.
oppressively hot or oppressively cold. And if we do it inside, we'll be doing it inside the kitchen slash teaching area, which is actually a very large area
Mhm.
and has a lot of airflow as well.
Mhm.
So it's pretty safe because it's tall, because it's a barn, so it's got reasonably pretty high ceilings, and then it's a space that you could probably pretty much fit like 75 people in pretty comfortably.
Easily without
So-
being crammed, but
Yeah,
that?
and
is-
it's unlikely that any members of the general public, except maybe Ellen, will be able
Mhm.
to join, will be
Mhm.
coming, but we may get a few people from the public, but there won't be very many. And of course, you're always welcome to mask anytime.
Mhm.
But DA just had a bad bout of COVID, so she will definitely appreciate what you're asking.
Great, yeah, let me know what she says, that'd be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
I already asked her if we could go downstairs. I think that's not a problem because I think they can do the technology down below. They just, there's a couple of maps or whatever, but Rob's getting pretty good at doing it off of just maps on easels. And
Mhm.
so
Good.
it should
Okay.
be fine.
Okay.
Assuming he comes back from the West Coast where he's at his son's wedding and taking a couple week vacation.
Good. Okay, then any other input anybody would like to bring up? Okay, then hearing no objection, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
all your input. And
Thank you.
okay, good night.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
Well.
Bye.
Good night.
Just you and me.
What happened?